You have probably seen it hundreds of times across social media. Someone wakes up at 6 in the morning, squeezes half a lemon into a glass, or pours a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar straight into warm water and drinks it down before eating anything. The caption says something like, "My daily autophagy routine," or, "The one habit that changed my health." The video gets 3 million views. The comments are full of people saying they have been doing this for years and swear by it. And so the habit spreads, quietly and confidently, from screen to screen and from kitchen to kitchen, around the world. What almost none of those videos tell you is what is actually happening to your stomach lining, your esophagus, and your teeth while you perform this ritual every morning. And that is exactly what this video is going to tell you. Not because lemon juice or vinegar are inherently evil substances, but because the way these foods are being used, undiluted, on an empty stomach, every single day, is a practice that a growing number of gastroenterologists and dentists are seeing produce real, measurable, sometimes irreversible damage in their patients. Let us start with the chemistry, because this is where the entire conversation begins. Freshly squeezed lemon juice has a pH of approximately 2 to 3. Apple cider vinegar has a pH of approximately 2 to 3.5. To put this into perspective, battery acid has a pH of 0, stomach acid has a pH of 1.5 to 3.5. And vinegar sits right in the same range as stomach acid itself. These are not mildly acidic health tonics. They are, by every chemical definition, strongly acidic substances. Your stomach is designed to handle this level of acidity. It produces its own acid to digest food, and it protects itself from that acid with a thick mucus layer lining the stomach wall. But your esophagus, the tube connecting your throat to your stomach, is not designed to handle strong acid. It does not have the same protective mucus coating. Neither does your mouth, your teeth, or the delicate tissues of your throat. When you swallow undiluted lemon juice or neat vinegar on an empty stomach, you are pouring a strongly acidic fluid over tissues that were simply not built to withstand it. What happens inside your body in the minutes after drinking undiluted lemon juice or vinegar on an empty stomach? The sequence is both predictable and, for many people, already quietly underway. In the mouth, the acid immediately begins attacking the enamel surface of your teeth. Tooth enamel is the hardest substance in the human body, but it is also highly vulnerable to acid dissolution, a process called dental erosion. Unlike bone, tooth enamel does not regenerate. Once it is gone permanently. Research has shown that exposure to lemon juice at full concentration begins causing measurable enamel erosion within minutes. Dentists increasingly report seeing patterns of enamel loss in patients who consume acidic drinks regularly. Loss that concentrates on the inner surfaces of teeth, closest to where the liquid pools, moving down into the esophagus. The undiluted acid flows over a mucous membrane that, as mentioned, lacks the robust acid-resistant lining of the stomach. Repeated exposure to strongly acidic substances causes direct irritation to the esophageal lining. Over time, this can develop into esophagitis, inflammation of the esophageal lining, which produces symptoms including burning in the chest, difficulty swallowing, and a persistent sensation of something stuck in the throat. There is also a documented effect on the lower esophageal sphincter, the muscular valve between the stomach and esophagus. Acidic foods and drinks can relax this sphincter, making it more likely that stomach acid will reflux upward into the esophagus. The very opposite of what someone concerned about digestive health is trying to achieve. In the stomach, the situation is more nuanced but no less important. The stomach is designed to be acidic, but the timing and context of acid exposure matter enormously. On an empty stomach, the protective mucus layer is thinner, and the stomach lining is more directly exposed to whatever enters it. Introducing additional strongly acidic fluid without food, which would normally act as a buffer, means the stomach lining faces a direct acid assault with no protective barrier. For people who already have gastritis, a stomach ulcer, or a Helicobacter pylori infection, this daily habit can actively accelerate existing damage. For people without existing stomach problems, chronic daily exposure to strongly acidic fluids on an empty stomach can be the initiating event for gastritis. over months and years. Now let us address the claims that are driving this behavior in the first place. Because this is where the information environment has failed millions of people so dramatically. The most common reasons people cite for drinking lemon water or apple cider vinegar on an empty stomach are that it activates autophagy, promotes fat burning and weight loss, stabilizes blood sugar, detoxifies the liver, and improves digestion. Each of these claims deserves honest scrutiny, starting with autophagy, which is without question the single most powerful piece of biological language driving the lemon and vinegar trend. Autophagy, the process by which cells break down and recycle damaged components, is a genuinely remarkable biological phenomenon. The research on its role in cancer prevention, neurological protection, aging, and metabolic health is real and continues to grow. The 2016 Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine was awarded for research into the mechanisms of autophagy, which dramatically elevated its public profile and created enormous enthusiasm about how to activate it. The problem is the leap from the science of autophagy to the claim that drinking lemon juice or apple cider vinegar on an empty stomach activates it in humans. There is currently no published clinical trial in humans demonstrating that lemon juice or apple cider vinegar, consumed in any form, meaningfully activates autophagy. The mechanisms by which autophagy is stimulated relate primarily to cellular energy sensing, specifically to low insulin levels and high AMPK activation, which occur during states of caloric restriction or fasting. The most powerful triggers of autophagy that are supported by human evidence are prolonged fasting, calorie restriction, and specific forms of exercise. Certain plant compounds including spermidine, resveratrol, and EGCG from green tea have shown autophagy-related effects in research. But these are found in whole foods consumed as part of a balanced diet, not in empty stomach acid tonics. If the goal is autophagy activation, drinking lemon juice or vinegar is not the mechanism. If it causes even a minor insulin response, it may actually inhibit autophagy rather than activate it. And the fasting state itself, simply not eating, is what produces the cellular conditions for autophagy. Adding an acidic drink to that fasting window accomplishes nothing biologically relevant to autophagy, while simultaneously damaging the tissues it passes through. The weight loss and fat-burning claims deserve a similarly honest examination. There are genuine studies showing that apple cider vinegar can modestly support weight loss. The most cited Japanese study found that participants who consumed 1 to 2 tablespoons of diluted apple cider vinegar daily for 12 weeks lost approximately 1 to 2 kilograms more than the control group. This is a real finding, but it needs context. The weight loss was modest. The vinegar was diluted, it was consumed with or before meals, rather than on an empty stomach, and the mechanism appears to work primarily through enhanced satiety. People eating slightly less because gastric emptying is slowed. The same effect that causes satiety slowing gastric emptying also means that anyone with existing digestive problems, including gastroparesis, acid reflux, or gastritis, may experience significant worsening of their symptoms. Blood sugar regulation is, perhaps, the most scientifically supported benefit of vinegar, and it genuinely is supported by multiple studies. Acetic acid, the active component of vinegar, inhibits certain carbohydrate digesting enzymes and slows gastric emptying, which blunts post-meal glucose spikes. This is a real and reproducible effect. But again, every study demonstrating this effect used vinegar that was diluted in water and consumed before or with a meal, not neat vinegar on an empty stomach. And for anyone taking insulin or blood sugar medications, the interaction between vinegar and medication-driven blood sugar changes requires medical supervision. The detoxification claims are perhaps the easiest to address. The human body has a sophisticated, highly effective detoxification system, the liver and kidneys, that operates continuously, regardless of what you drink in the morning. There is no credible scientific evidence that lemon juice or vinegar enhances liver or kidney detoxification function. Adequate hydration does support kidney function, but the hydrating effect of lemon water is produced entirely by the water component, not by the lemon. Plain water provides identical hydration, Before we move on, there is one lemon-related claim that does have genuine scientific support, and it is worth acknowledging fairly. The citric acid in lemon juice does inhibit the formation of certain types of kidney stones, specifically calcium oxalate stones, and increasing urinary citrate through lemon juice. Consumption has been studied as a complementary approach for people prone to these stones. This is real, but the dose required for this effect is higher than a small squeeze of lemon. The mechanism works through adequate hydration alongside the citrate, and this benefit applies specifically to kidney stone prevention, not to the broad range of health claims typically attached to morning lemon water. Having established what the science actually says about these morning acid rituals, let us shift to what you should do instead, how to use these foods safely if you choose to, and what genuinely effective approaches look like for the health goals most people are pursuing when they reach for the lemon or the vinegar bottle. First, let us be clear about what safe use of lemon juice and vinegar actually looks like, because the answer is not to eliminate them entirely. Both have legitimate culinary value and both have specific contexts in which their health-related properties can be accessed without damaging your digestive tract. For lemon juice, the safe approach involves meaningful dilution, 1/4 to 1/2 of a lemon, squeezed into a full glass of water. 200 to 300 milliliters is a reasonable preparation. This dilution brings the pH of the drink into a range that is still slightly acidic, but far less damaging than near undiluted lemon juice. Ideally, drink it with or after a meal rather than on an empty stomach. If you prefer to drink it in the morning, wait until you have eaten something first, even something small. Use a straw to minimize contact with tooth enamel. Do not brush your teeth immediately after drinking. Brushing within 30 minutes of acid exposure accelerates enamel wear, because the acid temporarily softens the enamel surface. Rinse with plain water instead and wait at least 30 minutes before brushing. For apple cider vinegar, the principle is the same. 1 to 2 tablespoons diluted in at least a full glass of water is the preparation used in the studies that demonstrated benefits. Never drink vinegar undiluted. Never drink it on an empty stomach. The most beneficial and least risky way to incorporate vinegar into your diet is through food, salad dressings, pickling, marinades, and cooked dishes. The acetic acid delivers its effects, whether it arrives via a vinegar drink or via a vinaigrette, and through food. The buffering effect of other food components means the acid exposure to your esophagus and stomach lining is dramatically reduced. Now let us talk about what actually works for the goals people are trying to achieve with these morning rituals. Because the goals themselves, supporting cellular health and autophagy, managing weight, stabilizing blood sugar, improving digestion, are entirely legitimate. It is only the method that is the problem. For genuine autophagy support, the evidence points clearly toward intermittent fasting. A fasting window of at least 14 to 16 hours consistently reduces insulin levels, activates AMPK, and creates the cellular energy conditions that trigger autophagy. The 16 to 8 protocol, fasting for 16 hours and eating within an 8-hour window, is the most widely studied and practical approach for most people. During the fasting window, water, plain tea, and black coffee are generally considered compatible with maintaining a fasting state. The fasting window itself is what activates autophagy, not anything added to the fasting window. Adding lemon juice or vinegar to the fasting window does not enhance autophagy and may disrupt it by causing an insulin response. Exercise, particularly high-intensity interval training, is the second most powerful autophagy activator supported by human evidence. During intense exercise, cellular energy is depleted, AMPK is strongly activated, and autophagy is induced in muscle and other tissues. Regular vigorous exercise has benefits for cellular health, metabolic function, and tissue maintenance that dwarf anything attributed to a morning acid drink. For blood sugar management, the most impactful interventions are dietary composition and meal structure. Replacing refined carbohydrates with complex carbohydrates, legumes, and fiber-rich vegetables produces a sustained reduction in post-meal blood sugar peaks that is far greater than any effect attributable to vinegar. Combining carbohydrates with protein, fat, and fiber at every meal slows glucose absorption and blunts insulin responses. Eating vegetables first, then protein. And leaving starchy carbohydrates until the end of a meal. The meal sequencing approach, supported by multiple clinical trials, reduces post-meal glucose by up to 30 to 40%, compared to eating in the conventional order. A 15 to 20-minute walk after meals has been shown to reduce post-meal blood glucose by a clinically meaningful amount. These interventions are more powerful, more consistent, and entirely free of the gastrointestinal side effects of vinegar. For weight management, the sustainable approaches all come back to the same foundation: a diet rich in fiber, protein, and whole foods that produces natural satiety without excessive caloric intake, regular physical activity that maintains and builds metabolically active muscle tissue, adequate sleep that regulates hunger, hormones and stress management that prevents stress-driven eating. The modest satiety effect of diluted vinegar before meals is a small additive tool that might, in the right context, support these foundational efforts. It is not a standalone fat-burning intervention. For digestive health, the most powerful tools are foods that actively protect and repair the stomach lining rather than acidifying it further. Let us go through the most important ones. Cabbage is one of the most thoroughly studied foods for gastric health. It contains glutamine, an amino acid that supports the growth and repair of the cells lining the stomach, and a compound historically called vitamin U that has been shown to accelerate the healing of stomach ulcers. Fresh cabbage juice was among the first natural remedies studied for peptic ulcer disease, with early clinical trials showing accelerated healing compared to conventional treatment alone. Oats provide beta-glucan, a soluble fiber that forms a gel in the digestive tract, coating the stomach lining and protecting it from irritation. Oatmeal at breakfast is one of the most gastric-friendly morning meals possible, a complete contrast to the acidic drinks it is so often competing with. Ginger contains gingerols and shogals, compounds with anti-inflammatory properties that reduce gastric irritation, improve gastric motility, and ease nausea without acidifying the digestive environment. Ginger tea on an empty stomach is considerably safer and more beneficial for gastric health than lemon juice or vinegar. Honey, particularly Manuka honey, coats the stomach lining and has demonstrated antimicrobial activity against Helicobacter pylori in laboratory and some clinical studies. A teaspoon of honey in warm water is a gentle, stomach-protective morning drink. Bananas are alkaline, easily digestible, and contain pectin, a soluble fiber that forms a protective coating along the stomach wall. For anyone with acid reflux or gastritis, a banana is one of the safest and most soothing foods available. Fermented foods deserve special mention in the context of digestive health. The microbiome, the community of trillions of microorganisms in the gut, is now recognized as central to immune function, metabolic health, and even mental well-being. Fermented foods including yogurt, kimchi, miso, kefir, and sauerkraut deliver live bacterial cultures that support microbiome diversity and balance. The probiotic case for fermented foods is considerably stronger than the probiotic case for apple cider vinegar, which has not been demonstrated to deliver viable microorganisms to the gut in amounts sufficient to produce microbiome benefits. The relationship between the stomach and the rest of the body is something that demands more attention in conversations about morning health routines. Chronic gastritis, persistent acid reflux, and untreated Helicobacter pylori infection are not simply inconveniences. Left unmanaged, they represent genuine long-term health risks. Chronic acid reflux, when it persists for years, can produce a condition called Barrett's esophagus, a precancerous change in the cellular lining of the lower esophagus. Barrett's esophagus carries an approximately 30 to 40 times higher risk of developing into esophageal adenocarcinoma compared to people without reflux disease. Esophageal cancer has a poor prognosis because it is typically diagnosed late. The daily habit of drinking acidic liquids on an empty stomach, for someone who already has some degree of reflux disease, is not a neutral or harmless behavior in this context. It is a behavior that consistently irritates and stresses already damaged tissue. Helicobacter pylori, which infects more than 50% of the global adult population, and over half of the adult population in many Asian countries, is classified as a Group 1 human carcinogen by the World Health Organization, meaning there is sufficient evidence that it causes cancer in humans. It is the primary cause of stomach cancer worldwide. Someone who harbors an active H. pylori infection and simultaneously subjects their already compromised stomach lining to daily acid exposure from undiluted lemon juice or vinegar is compounding the damage mechanism that makes H. pylori so dangerous in the first place. Here is your 7-day stomach protection plan for anyone who has been using these morning acid habits and wants to repair and protect their digestive tract going forward. On day 1, stop the morning acid ritual immediately. Replace it with a cup of warm water with a teaspoon of honey or plain ginger tea. Note any improvement in morning stomach discomfort over the following days. On day 2, change your breakfast to oatmeal with banana and a handful of nuts. Notice how your digestive comfort differs from breakfasts built around acidic or highly processed foods. On day 3, incorporate cabbage into 2 meals, raw in a salad or lightly steamed as a side dish. Cabbage juice made by blending a quarter of a fresh cabbage with water is a traditional stomach healing preparation worth trying. On day 4, add a probiotic-rich food to every meal. Plain yogurt at breakfast, kimchi or miso at lunch, a fermented dairy product at dinner. On day 5, focus on meal habits rather than food choices. Eat slowly, chew thoroughly, stop at 80% fullness, and do not lie down for at least 2 to 3 hours after eating. On day 6, focus on stress reduction. Practice 5 to 10 minutes of diaphragmatic breathing before meals to activate the parasympathetic nervous system and optimize digestive function. On day 7, review your week. If symptoms of acid reflux, heartburn, or indigestion have been present for 2 weeks or more, book an appointment with a gastroenterologist. An upper endoscopy provides definitive information about the state of your esophageal and stomach lining, information that cannot be obtained from symptoms alone. The final message of this video is this: the health information environment is genuinely difficult to navigate. For every study showing a modest benefit of vinegar or lemon juice, there are clinical observations of patients whose esophageal and gastric tissue is being worn down by these very habits. The fact that something is natural does not make it safe in any dose or preparation. Hydrochloric acid is natural too, it is what your stomach produces, and nobody recommends drinking it. The concentration at which a substance is consumed, the form in which it is consumed, and the physiological context into which it is delivered, all determine whether that substance is beneficial or harmful. Lemon juice and vinegar are not harmful substances. Undiluted lemon juice and vinegar on an empty stomach, daily, over months and years, in a person with a compromised digestive lining, is a different matter entirely. Protect your stomach. Protect your esophagus. Use these foods thoughtfully, in appropriate dilution, with food, as part of a diet that prioritizes genuine gastric health. And before accepting any health claim you encounter on social media, ask the simple question: where is the evidence? And does the evidence actually support this specific practice? Or has a real finding been taken out of context and turned into something it was never meant to be? If this video gave you something important, please share it with someone whose morning routine includes that daily glass of undiluted lemon water or vinegar. You may be offering them information that their digestive tract will be genuinely grateful for. Subscribe, leave a comment telling us what surprised you most, and we will continue bringing you health information that is honest, balanced, and grounded in the best available science. Your stomach has been quietly absorbing damage without complaint. Today is a good day to start protecting it.